Hello, I'm Van Herndon, candidate for Stewart County Mayor. I want to come to you regularly in this manner, a fireside chat, if you will, to regularly provide information about my campaign, introduce myself, introduce my family, and share my beliefs on what makes Stewart County a great place to live and how we can make Stewart County better. I'm a native of Stewart County. My family comes from what is now the Land Between the Lakes area. I am a 1992 graduate of Stewart County High School. I attended Murray State University while working my way through at our local Piggly Wiggly and later the Stewart County Sheriff's Department. It was in 1995 that I started what turned out to be a 9-year stay with the local sheriff's office. While there, I held the positions of jailer, emergency 911 dispatcher, deputy, and sergeant. I was the county's very first school resource officer. The department had received a federal grant for the position, but not much else in the way of guidance or instruction. It was under Sheriff Vinson's administration, with the help of a spunky Wanda Luffman, who wrote the grant application for the county, that we developed from the ground up the first iteration of the Stewart County School Resource Officer Program. It was during my time at the Stewart County Sheriff's Department where I got to know Stewart County and not just my neighborhood. It is where I learned some valuable life lessons and developed some deep-rooted ideals on what Stewart County can be. It was while I was at the department that I developed a desire to serve my neighbors. I've seen most, if not all, of the county during my stay at the sheriff's office, and I've seen the people of Stewart County at their best, and yes, at their worst. But I never wavered in my feeling that Stewart County has some of the finest people that you could ask to meet. And within our borders, you will find some of the most beautiful scenery man can imagine. However, if you take a survey of the opportunities and resources we have available, you will find our county lacking. I'll mention more on that in a moment. I next want to guide you through the decision process my family, friends, supporters, and I went through to get to this point. The decision to run for Stewart County Mayor has not been an easy one. There are several candidates running. Some were a surprise. Even up to the last week to qualify for the ballot, the political landscape was evolving in the mayor's race. And as a part of the process, I took my time, waited to see what would unfold. I was in repeated conversations with dear friends and advisors, weighing the chances of success and making determinations if those chances justified the difficulties that running for office brings and the sacrifices running demands. Yes, there were days of doubt. There was a period of time when I had resolved myself that I can serve my neighbor in other ways that would allow me greater control over the demands made of my family and I. Yet I have deep-seated ideals and a strong belief in this county, and when those ideals are encroached upon, I cannot and I will not stand by. Which brings me back to my earlier comment about our county lacking in resources and opportunities. While our county has so many great things to offer, we have been the victim of overreaching policy by the federal government and a lack of vision by our local leaders. First, the federal government loves Stewart County land. It must, because over the years, the federal government has absorbed tens of thousands of acres in the creation of Fort Campbell, Land Between the Lakes, Cross Creek, TVA, Fort Donelson, and so on. Now, several of those are considered tourist attractions. However, I argue that we have never benefited from tourism in a manner that brings us anywhere near recovering lost revenue from forfeited property taxes that those areas represent. In fact, to this very day, we are regularly losing land from our tax rolls to organizations like the Civil War Trust, which acquires land and then donates it to the National Park Service. And they are not just buying land with earthworks. They are buying single-family residences. I have a distant family member who sold a house here in Stewart County to the Civil War Trust. Now, it is his right. However, I cannot prevent myself from lamenting the lost tax revenue over this and similar situations. Fort Donelson is important. It was a significant battle that had far-reaching consequences. We should protect historical sites. However, we must do so while achieving a balance between protecting the past and protecting the future. Excessive lost revenue from tax rolls jeopardizes that future. This is one reason that our county is so cash-strapped. And being cash-strapped, having a very tight budget on the revenue side of the page causes us to be unable to provide services that will contribute to more jobs and opportunities. For example, when the current Napa Auto Parts store was moving into the area, they were faced with a dilemma. The land that they wished to build upon was unable to have a septic system placed upon it. The state inspector at the time was very rigid. Situations that would have passed under the prior inspector were now meeting a great deal of resistance. So much so to the point that one local man of good reputation had warrants issued against him for his arrest by the state inspector as the result of a temporary patch job of a failed pre-existing septic system at his home. I'm happy to report that the Napa store was finally able to engineer a septic system that would pass inspection, but we almost lost a retail store and the jobs it represents and the tax base that it represents due to the lack of a sewer system. Lack of sewer still haunts us to this day. I have it on good authority that one of our local land developers was in talks with a company for a $1 million retail development. But once negotiations revealed that no sewer was available, the deal walked away, and with it walked away an increase in property tax base, an increase in new jobs, and an increase in the retail choices that we have available to us here in Stewart County. I've only scratched the surface of why I'm running. I thank you so much for your time, and will bring you more in the very near future. I am Van Herndon, Stewart County mayoral candidate, and I appreciate your support.